we've also working with pretty much all the insurance companies in India, and last year we sold 1.5 million policies. So exactly 6 years ago, we started with our first policy sold, and in the first year, probably we sold about a few hundred, 300 policies only. And this year, we're going to close at more than 1.5 million.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Atul Mishra from the Entrepreneurship Cell, VCET. Will welcome you all back again for the second session of today's event. So, without any further delay, I'd like to extend my warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Anand PrabhuDesai, co-founder of TurtleMint. Mr. Anand PrabhuDesai is a seasoned professional with over 15 years of experience in strategy and operations in technology and leading cross-functional teams in engineering. He was also the vice president of Quicker Mobile and worked with big companies like Yahoo, Deloitte, and Nokia. He co-founded TurtleMint, which is an insurtech in the year 2015, and today TurtleMint has a network of over 1 lakh insurance advisors that cater to more than 1.5 million customers. He has an exceptional experience in developing market strategies, building and scaling consumer internet services. So let's now hear more about this remarkable journey from the man himself, Mr. Anand Prabhudesai, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Atul. I'm really happy to be here
Yes, sir.
as part of this entrepreneurship cell. Are you able to hear me? Are
Yes,
you
sir.
able
I'm
to hear me
able to
clearly?
hear you. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sorry, good morning.
Oh,
Very.
good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So, like Atul said, I'm Anand. I started TurtleMint along with my co-founder Dhirendra Mayavanshi. Um, what I'd like to do is I'll talk a little bit about what TurtleMint is, the idea, what we started with, how the company has evolved and developed today. And then I'd love to actually make this an interactive discussion and would love to
Yes, sir.
hear Atul and any questions from anybody. I'd love to take them and maybe answer some of the questions that you may have in your mind. And
Sure,
I'm
sir.
hoping that many of you on this call will start companies or go and work at startups and then start companies at some
Yes,
point in
sir.
their life and be part of this a really exciting journey of creating something of value for your customers and for the world. And this is a great time to be an entrepreneur in India, especially a technology entrepreneur in India. There are lots of opportunities as capital available for good ideas and hardworking and smart teams. So I would highly encourage you all to consider these opportunities now,
Yes, sir.
and do something that you may be passionate about rather than following some beaten career path, which may or may not be the best thing for you. So with that, I'll just to give you an introduction about TurtleMint, I'll just share a small deck. We can start with that, and then we can get into some of my own personal experience and journeys. So, what is TurtleMint? TurtleMint we started about 6 years ago, and what we have done is through technology we have enabled small local entrepreneurs, basically agents, to sell insurance online and to grow their business. And over the time, we've also added many other products. So while we also do car insurance, bike, health, life, mobile insurance, we've also now added mutual funds and loans and so on. And our pitch to agents is come join MintPro, and you can start earning. And especially so we have all kinds of people coming onto our platform. But we have so experienced agents who have done insurance selling before, but they were doing it in a very paper-based manner, running around, collecting forms and so on. So they come onto our platform because we give them a completely digital experience. But along with that, India is a very large country. There are millions of people who are graduating every year from college or high school and so on, and they don't have employment opportunities easily available. And for those people also, we go to them as well and say, look, you can start your own business. You can start selling insurance and mutual funds and all kinds of financial products, and start earning. And so many of these people, after they have spent 4 or 5 months, they've already earning 10,000 rupees a month. If they follow training and are dedicated, take advantage of our dedicated support, and then they grow on from there to earning much more. So insurance is a very hard career for anybody to start into, because it's sales. You need to reach out to people. You need to work really hard. But once you start building your business, it starts to grow very well as you keep adding new and new customers. Right? So we have now more than 120,000 sellers on our platform. So these are small entrepreneurs in all parts of the country. We are spread to more than 12,000 pin codes in India. So we started 6 years ago with just the two of us founders, and now we've got to this kind of scale. So I'll talk a little bit about why we were able to get there, and the journey that we've had. But we've also working with pretty much all the insurance companies in India, and last year we sold 1.5 million policies. So exactly 6 years ago, we started with our first policy sold, and in the first year, probably we sold about a few hundred, 200-300 policies only. And this year, we're going to close at more than 1.5 million. So, like I mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders. Dhirendra Mayavanshi is the other co-founder. And we have a very large team now, more than 1,000 people, 100 plus people in tech and product. We also have a very large telesales team, and we are also backed by some of the largest and well-known investors in the country and in the world. So why we got into this, right, is because what we saw is insurance is an under-penetrated category in India. So there's a way of measuring penetration as a percentage of GDP, and you can see India is very low at less than 3% of GDP, and most of the other countries are at 10, 15, 20% of GDP as amount of insurance premiums that they're paying. So the opportunity we felt was that India will only go up, right? As the country progresses and develops, and people become, more affluent. More people come into the middle class or grow out of the middle class. More insurance will definitely be sold. So we looked at the market size, and we felt that this was a good area to go in, and there was a proof point in how the market was growing as well. If you look at FY09, the market size was $10 billion of premium. In FY24, it's projected to be $54 billion. Last year, it was at around $30 billion. So we saw that the market is growing. There's a lot of potential to grow, and therefore we picked this particular category. And what we decided was to focus on agents and creating technology for them, because what we saw was most of the country, insurance agents play a big role in distributing insurance, and they had a lot of problems in terms of being able to offer choice to their customers, in terms of being able to do the process in a digital way. And so we saw that that was kind of a nice opportunity. If we focused on agents, we could scale fast. We could get to a very large part of the market, because agents controlled 60-70% of the market, and they continue to do that even today. So what we have done is created this app called Mint Pro, and it allows an agent to sell insurance anytime, anywhere. And to join the Mint Pro platform, there is no really investment that is needed. You just have to sign up, complete the training, and get certified, and then you can start doing the work, which is creating quotations, contacting customers, and helping them with the issuance of the policy as well as post issuance support like claims and so on. Right. So more than 1 million installs we have of the app. We get about 300,000 active sellers on the platform, and this app is only available on Android right now. We decided not to focus on iOS because for our customer segment, the dominant user base was on Android and on the desktop web. So desktop web is about 30 to 40% of our user base, and then the bulk of it, 60 to 70%, is on the mobile Android platform. And why our business became possible was thanks to the growth of mobile internet. It was ushered in by Geo. So about 5, 6 years ago, this business may have, or maybe even 10 years ago, this business would not have been possible, right? Because mobile internet was not available in all parts of the country. The business became possible because mobile internet went to all parts of the country. Everybody was started to carry around a smartphone. Smartphones became affordable, right? So when you're thinking about your own business, also you need to think about what are these trends that you can ride on for your business to take off. See, insurance has always been sold. It's been sold for hundreds of years, right? But what we have done is figured out a new business model and a new way to reach a much larger part of the country by riding on the wave of mobile internet and smartphones. And you can see on the right hand side the graph. We are in practically every part of the country, even in the remotest parts of Kashmir, Northeast. We have people who are just using the smartphone and an internet connection to sell insurance in their local communities. So the other lesson here is you're based in Bombay. You may be thinking about your market as the people who are around you in the city, but you should keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities outside of the cities as well, because in the cities there's a lot of different providers. There's a lot of services available already, and so it's a very competitive market. But there are many parts of the country which are underserved, where there are no proper business models to train people, to make them earn their livelihood and so on. So if you think broadly about your ideas, you can uh, uh, reach a much larger market size than what you did if you focus only on your immediate customer base. And like I said, as we became successful, we've added a lot of insurance partners. So practically every insurance company in the country is now selling insurance through our platform. And you can see all the major names, ICICI, Bajaj, Bharti, Future Generali, all the names that you can think of, even LIC, is selling insurance on our platform. And this wasn't what it was on day one, right? When we were a very small company, just a few people, we had to work really hard to get our first uh, few insurance partners to get them on board. And so, you have to be really persistent, and we have to be really, show success to some of our early insurance partners. And once we started showing them success, that we could distribute insurance, we could get them new customers. That's when slowly, one by one, more and more of the insurance partners came on board with us, and and once as we started to get more insurance partners, it became easier for us to attract more sellers as well, right? So what is called a sort of a network effect starts to take shape, where the whole system starts to feed on itself. More customers bring more insurers, and more insurers bring more customers. So, so after insurance, now we've also started to get into other products. So what we figured out was the agents, when they sell insurance to their customers, they may run out of products, because insurance is a product that people maybe buy once in a year or twice in a year. Whereas there could be other products that people constantly like to follow up on, or invest in. And therefore, we launched Money, which is now helping the customer with their all-round financial planning. So insurance is for risk protection, and then we have also have mutual funds which allow you to plan your wealth based on your life goals. So if you want to plan for child education, or to buy a home, or to retire, uh, we have the mutual fund products which help you plan against those goals. And our sellers are now able to do complete financial planning for their customers. And then we also have started doing loans and offering loans as a product. So this is new that we are building on, and trying to grow the ability of the agents to make more money by selling loans and business loans, personal loans and business loans as well. The other thing we focused on a lot in order to grow the customers is creating a platform for training. Insurance selling requires knowledge of finance. It requires knowledge of risk management. It requires selling skills, how to talk to customers, how to be persistent, how to do follow-ups, and so on. So there are lots of soft skills and hard skills that are needed to be successful in this business. And what we found was a lot of the new people who were coming on board, they wanted to earn, they wanted to make a living out of this, make a career out of this, but they did not have the ability to, they didn't have the skills to perform. So what we did was we created a learning platform as part of our Mint Pro tool, and it's called Mint Academy. And through this, we are training a lot of people in terms of the basics of selling and distributing these products in the right way, so that they are not, their customers are also uh, treated fairly, their needs are well understood before product recommendations. Okay, so I talked a bit about what our business is, how we're trying to create a next generation of financial entrepreneurs and sellers, and over the last 5-6 years, how we've grown to now more than 120,000 sellers who are on our platform, just using technology. So technology has been the reason why this company exists. Like I said, there were certain market forces. Mobile internet became available, because of which we were able to actually build our business. And then we had experienced team who could build a good app, who could deliver performance on the app, and so on. And because of that, we were able to create something of value for our sellers as well as the customers who buy insurance. Now I'll talk a little bit about what are some of the opportunities when it comes to insurance tech. And these are opportunities and ideas. This is just to seed some ideas even in your heads as you're thinking about building or creating your own companies. What are some of the areas where you could even look at creating disruptive technology to change customer experience? Okay. So one of the things, for example, is chatbots to issue and service policies. What happens is when somebody buys insurance, there's a whole life cycle that they go through. In the beginning, they may have questions about what they should buy and so on, right? And once the policy is bought, there are lots of service requests that come in periodically. There may be changes to the policy, what are called endorsements. They may want to, like somebody, like a new child is born, so that child has to be added onto the policy, or they decide to upgrade their cover, or decide to change to a different policy, or there are claims and so on. So servicing is a big aspect of insurance and many other products that are out there. A lot of people now are very comfortable on WhatsApp and so on. So if you're able to build technology, what are called chatbots, to help with this servicing, the customer experience can become much better. And so we are also looking at some of these problems in terms of how to service customers in a fast and efficient manner by using chatbots. And this is where some of the machine learning models come into play in terms of natural language processing and so on. And there are lots of opportunities here. I mean, many of the ML tools today are good at natural language processing, but it's mostly English. But if you look at the vernacular Indian languages, or even English, which is the kind of chatting we do, is a mix of Hindi and English. Many chatbots are not able to identify or detect that conversation and the context, and so there's an opportunity here to build good technology, which can be used by not just insurance companies but many other service oriented companies. So chatbots is one huge opportunity here in the space. Another opportunity is document processing. So again, many of the times when a policy has to be issued, a lot of documents have to be collected. There's a previous year policy. There is RC copy if you're doing motor insurance. There is other documents, salary documents, medical history documents. It's very cumbersome process to collect all these documents and get them into a digital format so that the data can be analyzed. So one of the technologies we have been working on is how to convert photos or images of documents into digital data. And there are lots of challenging problems here in terms of quality of mobile photos, in terms of OCR, and so on, that could be solved. Another interesting technology that we are also sort of looking at is, how can surveys of motor vehicles happen in an automated manner. See, when an insurer decides to write a policy for a particular car, they want to know what the status is, if it's already damaged or not. Similarly, at the time of claim, you want to assess the level of damage so that the claim can be approved. And so there are opportunities here as well in terms of vision technologies to automate underwriting and the claims processing, where there's some interesting work happening in this area as well. There are a few companies out there, as also we are also looking at this tech, where you're looking at processing images or videos and trying to figure out what is the level of damage that a particular vehicle may have. So that's the so those are some of the uh, technologies that you could be working on, or you could work on, to solve problems in this industry. Yeah, with that, I'd love to try to give you a flavor of what Turtlemint does. What are some of the technology opportunities? I can also, like maybe I can take a pause here and see if you have any questions that you would want me to address in terms of, the entrepreneurship journey itself, or on the business or the technology side.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Atul.
Sir, the session was really good, and especially I love the part where you said the technologies we could work on
Yeah,
in future. So, starting with the Q&A, sir, first we'd like to know something about your college years. In particular, something that is there something particular that helped you and stay motivated throughout, or just something you'd like to share with us as
sure.
students?
Yes. So, I did my engineering from IIT Bombay,
Yes, sir.
and one of the things about I came from a small town, and a lot of people come to IITs from very diverse backgrounds, and uh, it was a great atmosphere, to be in sort of company of other like-minded students who were who were full of I would say enthusiasm for doing something interesting in their lives, who had different sort of likes and dislikes. So it wasn't like everybody was interested in maybe a very technical career or so or so there were people who who figured out that maybe they wanted to do something in marketing, or they had more of a flair in some other area of work, and that is being in that kind of environment helped me understand that people's aspirations can be different, and also how you can work. There are multiple different types of skills and diverse backgrounds that come together. There are many interesting things that you can create. So when later in life, I try to make sure that I'm learning from whoever I meet. I started in a more technical kind of role as an engineer, but I had other interests, and I made sure I interacted with people with different backgrounds, and I think that helped me later on to build a company, because to build a company you need people with accounting backgrounds, you need people with marketing backgrounds, you need people with design, all kinds of types of skills and personalities and people. You need to be able to bring them together and work. So that's one of my biggest learnings from my
Correct.
carry forward.
Uh, and also, sir, do you believe there is some sort of pattern or formula of becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah. So I don't know if there is a pattern or a formula, but there are certainly some traits that you probably need to have. Okay, one is you need to be able to spot opportunities for entrepreneurship, right? And which means you need to be very curious about how the world is operating, right? So uh, what is wrong, what is working well, what do people want, what are the problems people face when they're trying to do something, right? So curiosity is very, very important as a starting point, because unless you are curious, you will not know what are the real opportunities out there that you could solve for with your skills and knowledge, right? I think the second thing that comes after curiosity is actually being what I would say is having a creator mindset, right? So you need to be when you start on your journey, there is nothing, right? There is not even an idea, right? Or maybe you've had the idea, but going from idea to a successful business venture, you have to build on lots and lots of things, right? So you need to be able to do something. Maybe maybe coding is your skill, right? Then you could code some software to begin with, and create the first version of the product, right? Or if marketing is your skill set, then you need to be able to go and talk to customers, pitch to them about your product idea, get them to onboard with you, and so on. So there's a lot of creation activity that needs to happen, and you need to be able to do something. You need to have some creative skill set. It could be a technical, non-technical, whatever. It could, be anything, sales skill set. But you need to have some creative skill set by which you can go and create a market, or create a product and a market for whatever you're thinking. And then you need to be really, you need to be perseverant. You need to persevere a lot, perseverant, because you will face all kinds of obstacles and all kinds of problems in actually creating your company or your business. Entrepreneurship is very hard. You will, many of the things that you thought out were a good idea in the beginning will not work at all. And you will have to figure out what to do next. Uh, how to how to sort of pivot into something else, which looks like a better opportunity than what you're currently thinking of. So you also have to be realistic, right? While you persevere and try to make your business successful, you also have to be realistic that if something is not working, you're going to abandon it and look at something else, and not just be stuck on something because you just decided to do that 6 months ago. So you need to be flexible as well while you're being perseverant.
Sorry for the interrupt, sir. There was an interruption on my part. So we'll continue with the session also.
Yeah.
And also, sir, you also work with a lot of big companies, as I said, and also with huge responsibility as a senior manager, as a strategy and development. So, what's the story behind entering the insurtech market from the corporate and starting and co-founding Turtlement?
Right. So in the in the corporate world, so I worked at companies like Yahoo. I worked at Nokia and so on. So I got a very good understanding in terms of, during those times I was building technology products which were being used by consumers. So I got a very good grounding in how to build products and how to build businesses using technology products, right? And that, but I also had this entrepreneurial kida, if you will, in me, that I had to do something of my own. And I felt I was being successful in whatever I was creating, right? And I learned over the time. So while I was working even in large companies, I used to volunteer for a lot of things which were not really my area of responsibility. So I used to take on things outside of my area of responsibility so I could learn and develop my skills. And when while I was working at Quicker, I met Dhirendra, who's the co-founder, and we started talking about different ideas. And he was also interested in starting a tech company. And we started debating and discussing, like what we could do. We thought of something in the fashion arena. We thought about like a food tech startup. We thought of selling tires online. Many different ideas that we bounced off. And then insurance became kind of more interesting because it's we thought it could be a very digital kind of product. Insurance is it's a document, right? So there is no
Yes, sir.
actual physical product to be bought. So we thought that made it interesting. We also saw that it was a big opportunity, like I showed in the slide earlier. A huge market, under penetrated, and my co-founder Dhirendra had experience in the insurance sector as well, having worked there. So he was familiar with the industry. As a insurance consumer myself, I had some problems when I bought some policies. I had problems in terms of claims, so I had some deeper knowledge or experience of what problems people do face.
Face during
So we could,
policies.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was really great. And also, sir, working be it a big company or a small company, finance is one of the most utmost importance. And also, Turtlement has led many successful funding rounds. So,
Right.
sir, how do the startups prepare for funding rounds, or how do they approach their potential investors?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the approach changes based on the stage of the company. So if you're starting your company, right, on day zero, the first thing you need to be able to prove is that that you are able to attract at least a few customers. Maybe you have 100 customers or so. And at that point, what I would say is a very sophisticated technology product may not even be needed. Something very basic, what is called MVP, minimum viable product, which may not even be a tech product. It might just be a process that you have implemented. But there has to be some proof that what you are creating is of some value to some people, right? So there are customers, they like what they are using. There may be a small number of customers, but there is promise that they will continue being your customers, right? So that's then you can, and you should try and do this in a very small, sort of in a very bootstrap manner, not spending too much money and so on, right? If you're able to, you're able to get to this stage, then you can, you can approach an angel investor or an early stage VC, and you need to talk to them about what you've done so far, right? And why you think this is an interesting market, and so on. So that's on the idea. The second important piece that you need to be able to talk about is your team, right? That's very, very important, and probably equally or more important than the idea. So you need to have a team of diverse, ideally diverse skill sets, right? So if you are a good technology guy, then you need somebody who's a good business person that you can team up with. So the investors will look at that, right? If you are that, if you have a good team, that means there's a much higher probability of success in the early stages. And probably once you have a good idea, a good team, some proof point that it's working, and then you can go and talk to investors. One of the other things that investors will look at is the market size. How big can this be, right? So venture capital investors do invest in ideas which can become very large businesses. So there are many ideas which can become small businesses. Let's say a kirana store can become a successful small business, but it will not attract venture capital or
Venture capital.
yeah.
Or beginners, yes. And as you said, sir, with the rise of internet, a lot of new business have become successful. As you said, a turtlement wouldn't have been a possible venture before the rise of the internet.
Right.
So, sir, with the rise of internet, everything is on the digital platform, and same is true for companies that are selling insurance policies. So, we'd like to know how Turtlement and other startups should make a difference on the digital platform from the other rivals or other competitors or the one you're partnered with. How do you make the edge or get the edge or make a difference with them?
Yeah. So you have to be very attentive to the details. Like I said, you need to really observe what are the problems that your customers are facing, right? And only if you're observing very carefully what the experience of your customers is, uh, only then will you be able to come up with new ideas and so on. Okay, so and one good way to do that is there's something called Net Promoter Score, NPS, and this is a measure of the customer's happiness with your product. And this is something that if you start measuring on a regular, it's a very simple survey type question that you can ask, right? And if you are measuring your customers' happiness with your product uh, in an honest and a disciplined way, and taking feedback regularly, then you will know what are the problems that you could solve for, right? That will make a difference. Now, in general, if you were to like, there are 2-3 things that people usually want, right?
Yes, sir.
People want variety, right? So if a platform offers me all kinds of products, then I will want it. Like Amazon offers all kinds of products, so you go there. Right? Second, you want uh, high quality of service, right? So high quality of service could be, let's say, speedy delivery of your product, or highly reliable, right? If I said I'm going to do it for you, it happens. There's no there are no problems, in the whole experience, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, and then you are, and then there could be things like in our case, we are helping people earn more money, right? So they're growing in their careers, they're growing in their lives. So there are some 3 4 fundamental things. If your product is solving, then you may have a good sense that, okay, this is going to be something that people will accept and love. And then obviously you got to keep listening as
Yes.
hard as you can. I mean, you don't stop listening ever, even if you become a very large company, to what your customers are saying.
Yes, it's exactly about contact, knowing your customers and identifying their problems to the minute levels and solving them.
Yes.
And
One of the
as you,
challenges I would want to add is a lot of engineers don't, may go into their rooms and code and so on, right? And they don't go and talk to customers enough. And
exactly.
that is a very risky strategy. Your product is very likely going to fail, because
Yes, sir.
you are many of the times you are the customer of the product, in which in case you know what is needed. So if you're building a developer tool, for example, and you're an engineer, you know what may be needed. So you may be able to not speak to any customer and still have a successful product. But if you're building for anybody else, you have to talk to them
It's
as
really
much.
difficult. It's really difficult. Only if it's for a developer and engineer can know. Otherwise, only customers can decide if a product is worthy or not. So that's very true. And sir, you've been building projects, right? You're building products and growing products, especially in Quicker. You said you increased it from 15 million active users. So, apart from the traditional methods of marketing, social media and digital marketing on platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are a powerful way for business of all sizes to reach prospects and their potential customers. So,
Right.
how do you use this effectively? As you can see, many companies are doing a war with their rivals, automobile companies, food tech companies, uh, GPay, Paytm. There are these Twitter feuds going on. So, how do companies enter and use this for their business?
Yeah. So the approach we have taken is to create content. Okay, so we have for example, a channel on YouTube, and we just
Yes, sir.
give good, useful, informative content. You know, and that's the content. If the content is good and people like the content, they will share it, they will watch it, they will like it, right? So content is very important. I would say if there's a, and especially any other kind of advertising marketing costs a lot of money, but content is something, if you do well, you can get a large user base and also create value for people. So uh, I would highly suggest that if you're trying to build a business, focus on content from day one, and see
Yes,
how what kind of content you could create. Even if it's a technical tool, it's a API management tool. You could create content for developers in terms of how they should do API management. What are some of the problems, challenges, and then use that to build customer love,
yes,
so that they become users of your product.
yes, exactly. Content promotes itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And hmm. Yes, sir. And you said as internet went on growing, I've read many of your blogs. So from the blogs, I'd like, sir, how do you plan to impact the rural areas with settlement and empower especially the women in those rural areas who do not have access to even smartphones? So how do you mean to empower them?
Yes, yeah. I mean, the if you want to become, I mean, there are a lot of women who are sellers on our platform. Almost 40% of the the sellers
Internet
we have on
advisors.
our platform are women, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's the same thing. We are encouraging them to start their own businesses from their homes, and women are especially good at selling life insurance. It's a very difficult product to sell. So they, what actually what we are doing is just empowering, through technology, and it could be anybody. If you have a will to work, you have a will to, you're smart, you can you can influence people to look at financial planning, you can become a seller on top.
Yeah, yes, yes, sir. And looking forward to Turtlement. I've personally myself seen your content on Instagram, to YouTube, and your blogs also. And
Yeah,
I've seen that Turtlement has drastically reduced the time taken to get an insurance. Usually, it's a 48-hour process. Mostly, if a customer is convinced, I've seen Turtlement it does in the span of within 30 minutes.
right, correct. Yeah,
Since
because it's all
and
digital. Yeah.
yes, since convincing a potential customer for insurance takes a lot of time in paperwork. So how do you target a prospect customers and convince them, and also manage the time factor along with all these things?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, if you make things easy, then people will go ahead and buy. People may have, like, I don't have money to buy insurance, or I don't. The paperwork is lengthy, right?
Yes,
I don't have the papers available with me, or I don't have the time right now, right? So for every objection, you need to have a solution, right? So if the entire process can happen online, paperless, in 10 minutes, the objection of time and many of the other objections people throw about, they go away. We offer various kinds of financing plans as well, EMI based, and so on. So if somebody doesn't have the money to buy right now, we have a solution where they can buy it in installments, right? So you got to really, there's a couple of examples, but you got to really think about what are objections customers have and how you can actually. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge, right? I don't
yes,
understand this part. So that's where the agent comes in with their, and the videos and content we've created, it comes in and helping handy in terms of helping the customer understand the product so that they become more comfortable with buying.
yes. Following your customers is a very difficult job. As you said, ki explaining what your product is very really important. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know, and using is a different process if they don't even understand. And also,
Yeah,
sir, as you in the last slide, you said there are various technologies that you've been working on, and I noticed that most of them are from artificial intelligence and machine learning based. So, and we all know that artificial and intelligence is the new electricity. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is reshaping every industry. So,
right.
as you said, chatbots should be can be implemented by most of the startups and companies. It's not a difficult thing, but it's a very great tool for customers to give a proper customer experience. As you cannot hire telesales for each and every customer. So,
Yeah.
how can you inculcate AI and ML for startups, or should they inculcate, or you feel ki human to human interaction is more feasible than machine learning and
Yeah.
artificial intelligence?
Yeah. I think there are many problems which don't require AI and ML, right? And they can simply be either coded to simple regular programs or business rules. Um, so first of all, you got to really think about what is the problem that you are solving, right? AI and ML comes later. If it is a technology that can help you solve that problem better, then definitely go ahead and use AI and ML, right? But many of the times, uh, there's a tendency just to use it because it's a fancy tool or a new thing, or but it may not really be needed, right? You may be
Yes,
better served in solving the problem by just simpler
method.
tools, simpler methods. Yes, and but there are certain problems now where AI has, or ML models have proven to be good at or doing things better than what what we, doing things which standard procedural kind of programming language would not even be able to achieve, right? And vision detection, for example, or language understanding, these are some of the things which where models are pretty good, and AI models work. Plus there are so anything that requires some kind of intelligence beyond more like a pattern recognition type of stuff, where uh, where AI ML can play a better role. is where you should think of adopting it. So yes, I think the for every product today, if I were to think of it this way, right, every product can be made much more intelligent, right? Your refrigerator can be made more intelligent. Your television
Yes,
can
sir.
be made more intelligent. Your toaster can be made more intelligent, right? Your lights can be made. So anything can be made much more intelligent than what it is today, and that is where AI and ML can play a role. But make sure that it is something that customers really want.
Want.
Then solve that problem using AI.
And continuous feedback of customers after implementing that AI model. Are they satisfied or not? Is very
Yeah,
important. And sir, you said finding a proper team is very important and equally important as the idea. So,
yeah,
Settlement was co-founded by you, Dhirendra sir, and Kunal sir. So,
yeah.
it happens that sometimes you get difference of opinions, right? You get different opinions or ideologies, or with the partners on board, there's a difference of opinions or ideologies. So, how do you go about that?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think this is. I think this happens, right? So you got to be able to have maturity and understand that there will be things on areas in which there can be a difference of opinion, right? And uh, then you got to decide who's going to make the final call on a particular thing, right?
yes,
So
sir.
maybe if it's a technology matter, one person makes the final call. So you could have a discussion, but then one person makes the call. If it's sales, again, one person clearly owns the final thing because he's also responsible for delivering it, right?
Yes,
So if you're responsible for delivering the sales number, I may have a different opinion from you, Atul, but if you are responsible for it, you make the final call on it, right?
yes,
These are some ground rules you can set up so that you can sort of work in a better way, right? In terms of and of course there are other challenges. Somebody may lose interest. For example, the three of
yeah.
you
That
co-founders
that
start the company. Somebody
that
loses
happens in
interest.
startups.
Yes,
Yes,
they
sir.
may decide, okay, I want to take a job, or this is not for me, right? So I think some of the things you could agree on early on is what happens if somebody leaves, right? What happens to their share, to their contribution.
Yes,
You can decide your rules up front, and
yes, sir.
then before you start the company, so everybody's clear in terms of what happens in those cases.
Yes, and losing interest. The biggest example of losing interest is Steve Wozniak leaving Apple,
Yeah.
which I remember very clearly. And sir, also would like to know what are your future plans with the expansion of Turtlemint? As you said, you are going to empower women, go to the remotest of places, train people. It is a very big spectrum that you're planning, and also you're planning on personal loans. And currently, you are working as a distributor of loans, right? Insurance as a broker. So, do you plan to get an insurance license and work with an insurance company, or set up a payment method for your company, a payment gateway
Uh,
of your own?
yeah. So no, we don't know. I mean, to answer you, honestly, right now we are focusing on the distribution problem, but I think we will look at better services for the consumer, how we can improve the consumer experience as well. So while we are focused on the sellers, we also are thinking of what we can do more for the customers of the products. But I think we'll broadly continue to focus on mutual funds, insurance, some of the wealth, personal finance related areas. There's a
Yes,
lot
sir.
more to be done. So we'll continue to be focused on these.
And sir, I've personally experienced a lot of workings of settlement. I know insurance advisors, people who work in your company. So I was
Yeah,
really excited to have you here to talk with us. And I've had people taking seen insurances from the company, and that's how I knew the time that you give, the time you have drastically reduced, along with providing such a variety of products and such a variety of stuff. It is really great. I was really inspired by the idea of you, Dhirendra sir, Kunal sir. I've been following Settlement for quite a long time, and
great. Yeah,
I've seen your experience. I've seen your work on Twitter. I've seen your blogs. It's really inspiring for how you have grown from a corporate world to starting an entrepreneur, and from a time you didn't know if there was an internet boom in the country, which will lead to digital platforms to grow exponentially. And then it came and it drastically changed the side for your business. So you have a great experience, plethora experience. Is there some final words you'd like to say to the audience watching this, or for me, who myself came to be an entrepreneur? Some final words from you, sir.
Yeah, I just say, um, great time to be an entrepreneur. I hope many of you start start companies, and if you don't feel confident of starting something right away, I would highly encourage you to start working in startups rather than working in larger companies, because you'll get to see firsthand and learn firsthand about all the challenges small companies face. uh, what are some of the opportunities in the business? You meet people who are like-minded, who can eventually, your teammates or co-founders when you start your own company. So, all the very best to all of you.
Yes, sir. Sir, maybe you could take some questions from the YouTube chat box. Vidit, can you send some questions from the YouTube chat box? Okay, sir. So there's a question from Mitali Bose. She asks, what basic ideologies and mindset should be followed to start a business? What are some ground rules that a person should set if they're going to start a business or a new product, launch product?
Yeah, like I said, be curious. There's no ideology as such, but find around you what do you think is an opportunity, right? And be passionate about solving that problem. I mean, if you're not passionate about, if you feel that you're not passionate about solving that problem, you're really not interested in it, then there's not going to be much of a success that you will find. Most likely somebody else who's more passionate than you and who's more able to put in more hard work and more creativity to solving that problem will be successful. So
Yes, sir.
uh, being just being that dedicated to that is important. Being
Okay,
observant, being perseverant.
next question. So, Sriraksha Kotegaras, could you tell us about your PR strategy?
Right. So what we do is, we focus on vernacular media a lot, because a lot of our agents are in smaller towns and cities. So along with the English language PR, we focus on doing PR in all the in the local newspapers and so on. And we also try and highlight some of our partner successes in those stories. So it's not so much that we talk about Turtlement alone. We talk also about somebody who has been successful in one of our agent partners who's been successful, and we try to give them the media coverage in that paper as well, so that they also feel good about partnering with us, and other people get to hear about real life examples of people who have become successful working with Turtlement.
Yes, next question is uh, Nidhi Mehta, what impresses you the most when when you are considering hiring someone?
Yeah, I think uh, like we need to have people with certain skill sets, but I think there's some basic level of skill set, but attitude matters a lot more.
Yes,
And whether, because with attitude you can, with the right attitude, if you're ready to learn new things, you're curious, you're hardworking, you're disciplined, you bring energy to the workplace, right? Because of you, more people feel energized, motivated. So those are that is probably very important, the attitude, and that's what I would look at. Also assuming you have some basic level of skill set, like you can do what is needed, because I know you will
yes.
learn. If you have attitude, you will learn and become much better than what you are when you come to us.
Okay, and next question with it. Okay, sir. So this is Ayush Panchal, and he says, which is the main quality that an entrepreneur should have in order to be successful and determined? It's mostly about, sir, how do you keep the interest and how do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah. That motivation comes from inside. I really don't know how to answer uh, this this question. Like, you have to really love what you do. I mean, like, I love building technology products and seeing if they're being adopted by customers and what is wrong with it. So I can do this for 24 by 7.
Solve
I can do
problems,
this. Yes.
solve
So
problems
if
for
you
the
like
customers.
doing, yes. So if you're passionate, say, about healthcare, or you're passionate about fashion, or whatever, I mean, whatever you're passionate about, if you're doing that, you will have the motivation and energy automatically.
So I think so that's the end of the questions. And I think we are gonna wind up here. And sir, it was really great having you. I've seen working of Turtlemint, use Turtlemint personally. I was really impressed, and it was great to see you Turtlemint from your perspective, building of Turtlemint, and the experience of you, Dhirendra sir, and it was really great to have you, sir. We would like to hear from you in the future. Thank you for joining with us, sir. Thank you,
Thank you. All the best.
thank you, sir.